On Sunday, March 20, 2022, James Knox strongly appealed to his congregation for money while citing his mother as a model for Christian giving. One point he belabored was that in spite of his mother's poverty, she always tithed.
She's been living on $18,000 a year since your dad died. And she's given $6,000 or more to the church and to missions every year. Now, I don't know many people be content to live on $1,500 a month. And I don't know that I know anybody that gives a third of their income to Jesus Christ and the work of the gospel.
Knox then says that despite his mother's poverty, she was able to travel the world and live like a queen, which Knox attributes to God's blessing.
But my mother, from the time she was a toddler till the time she went to heaven, gave from her heart to the church and to missions, and that lady traveled the world and lived like a queen. Because God blessed her. You wouldn't think a person that had the income that she had could go to the places she went and do the things she did.
Why was James Knox's impoverished mother really able to travel the world and live like a queen? Is it because God blessed her church tithing as Knox claims? Was Knox's mother ever really poor at all? James Knox seldom mentions his father and Wanda Knox's husband. Let's now take a look at who he was. James Knox's father and Wanda Knox's husband was Maitland Brooks Knox. As we can see from his headstone, he died in 2005. The details of Maitland Brooks Knox's obituary are quite revealing. They show that Wanda Knox wasn't at all impoverished as James Knox claimed, but rather, was a very wealthy woman. Among several very revealing details, the obituary shows that Maitland Brooks Knox retired as the president of First National Bank of New Smyrna Beach. The obituary also reveals that Maitland Brooks Knox was a prominent enough banker to frequently lecture for the American Bankers Association and to give expert witness testimony before the U.S. Congress. In addition, and perhaps most revealing, his obituary says that Maitland Brooks Knox enjoyed traveling and that he visited all 50 states and numerous foreign countries. That bears repeating. Maitland Brooks Knox visited all 50 states and numerous foreign countries. So was James Knox's impoverished mother able to travel the world and live like a queen because God blessed her church tithe as James Knox claims? Or was she able to travel the world and live like a queen because her husband was a wealthy international banker whose job took him to all 50 states and to numerous foreign countries? In the following clip, Wanda Knox explains that her husband was one of the youngest bank presidents in Florida who was even sent overseas on trade missions for the government.
He decided to go into banking after he got out of the service, and he started as a messenger boy from that and worked his way up to being one of the youngest bank presidents in Florida. Wow. And so he was very successful. He worked through national bank things, programs, and they even sent him overseas on trade missions from the government, so wow. It was interesting.
Wanda then adds that her husband was once the president of 2 banks in Florida at the same time.
At one time, he was president of 2 banks here in Florida at the same time. Drove back and forth to Pompano, which is South Florida.
As the wife of an international banker, let's hear a bit more about Wanda Knox's extensive travels.
You're quite the traveler. Can you tell us about the places that you've been, your most favorite place that you've traveled?
I've been to all 50 states and all the Canadian provinces. Wow. Mexico and several countries in South America. Love a lot of Caribbean islands and mostly Europe and Northern Europe.
At Wanda Knox's memorial service, her daughter, Linda, eulogized that Wanda and her international banking husband had traveled to all 50 states, to 68 countries, and to 6 continents.
She and my dad continued to travel after we had grown and moved away with our own families. All 50 states, 68 countries, and 6 continents.
At that same memorial service, James Knox repeated the nonsense that his parents had never made a lot of money during their lives.
She and my father met in 1956. Every single year on that piece of paper, she wrote down what they earned, what they spent, and what they saved. And honestly, by today's standards, those standards, they never made a lot of money. They never made a great deal of money. And then after
James Knox has said that his mother, Wanda Knox, traveled the world and lived like a queen. He also said that she tithed her entire life, for which God blessed her with world travels and a life like royalty. However, after living like a queen and traveling to all 50 states and to 68 countries on 6 continents, her husband died, and we are told that Wanda was left nearly destitute. How could this be? Knox then repeated at Wanda's memorial service that his parents had never made much money during their lives. This makes no sense at all. And what are we then to believe? Are we to believe that angels transported his parents on their world travels because Wanda Knox tithed? Who was Wanda Knox's husband? Why was he never mentioned by name at her memorial service? Who did fund Wanda Knox's global travels? And why did she travel so extensively? There are many unanswered questions which lead to one question: why is there so much secrecy surrounding James Knox's finances?